Town Council talks trash on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Friday, February 1st, 2013. I'm Sarah Colvin. Town Council is working to decide just what to do when the town's contract with CMAS Covanta runs out in 2014 and tipping fees are expected to double. Town councilors met for a workshop session last night to discuss the options on the table. Assistant Town Manager Mark Ells led off the evening with a presentation about the transfer station and solid waste. Here he talks about how our trash is currently taken off-site.
Municipal solid waste that's collected at our transfer station in Marston's Mills is transported from there by truck to the Barnstable Yarmouth transfer station. Currently 37% of Barnstable households, so we sell about, respective to a year ago or so, 9,151 out of 24,530 households. They currently come to the transfer station. So what the difference between those two do with their waste, they either hire a local contractor or maybe they take it back to where their primary residence is, or I'm not quite sure what they do with it. We have not been directly involved in what they do, nor does the private hauler that collects them, if they have one, work under our disposal contract. They're going out there, some of them go to the Barnstable Yarmouth transfer station and pay a market fee there to CMAS, and some don't. And that's been the scenario now for many years in Barnstable. We've seen a very stable customer base at our residential transfer station in Marston's Mills. What comes in there is about 9,500 tons of municipal solid waste and about 4,650 tons of recycled products. And that's about a little over a ton per customer, per household that's coming in. And just to give you a feeling for where we're at, and that'll become interesting later on when we start to talk about some of the other projected fees.
Is that per year, Mike?
Yes. Yeah. Municipal solid waste is transported by rail from the Barnstable Yarmouth transfer station to CMAS. It's a waste energy facility in Rochester. Now, one of the things that's just interesting to note there, especially if we're thinking about recycling, is that DEP requires that all loads delivered to that Barnstable Yarmouth transfer station contain no more than, and I have those regulations if someone wants to look at them or wants a copy, but in general about 20%. There are specific areas that they're not allowed at all, and then there are specific areas that might be a little bit different percent. But in general, those banned products, cardboards and some plastics, etc., they can't be more than 20% of that in those loads that go there. So there is a requirement to encourage recycling, but that's about as far as it goes. And DEP does inspect, and Yarmouth does inspect, and if they have somebody come in with a straight load of something, certainly, or a load that looks like it's not going to meet the 20%, those loads are rejected, and they're supposed to separate them and come back in with a load that's under 20%. Okay? So that does occur, but certainly not to the levels of a more aggressive recycling program that can yield 50% or more of the product recycled.
Patty Daly with the Cape Cod Commission also made a presentation.
I think Mark did an excellent job of providing an overview of sort of what the options are out there. And we felt as a county group we needed to do our due diligence for ultimate long-term disposal options, particularly when we're looking at potentially doubling what we're paying per ton to dispose of going forward. We're at $37.50 a ton now. We had responses from E.L. Harvey, which was just a disposal. That was a $56 tip fee, which is very good, but we'd have to get our trash to Southbridge, to their facility there. So when you add on the transportation costs, that begins to not look like as good of a deal. We also had the Bourne landfill as an option, but they had limited capacity, and Falmouth has now signed a 10-year deal with them at $58 a ton, I think. The other competitive bid we got was from Waste Management, and that was for transportation and disposal. So those varied depending on where the town was located, but it was on an average of $70-ish a ton. And what they proposed was they would come to each town's transfer station, pick up the trash, and bring it to whatever facility they deemed most beneficial to their business off Cape. So that's why they wanted the T&D, because they weren't sure where the disposal was going to happen, and they wanted to be able to do that in a flexible manner. So the point is, you know, and we don't have firm prices from CMAS yet. Hopefully very soon we will. We're probably looking, maybe looking at a doubling of our tip fees, and respectfully, every ton that you can take out in recycling, even if you have to pay to get rid of some of it, will not cost you $70 a ton. So I would suggest that overall recycling is a good thing. It lowers the cost. You're not paying to have it incinerated or landfilled, and that's mostly just what I wanted to say, just give you a sense of what the options that we've seen are out there. And
Town Manager Tom Lynch shared his thoughts as well.
Perspective is, you know, which direction you want us to begin pushing in. You know, personally, I feel that the transfer station provides a valuable service for a significant portion of our citizenry. Each of you, though, has probably 2/3 of your constituency that is using a private hauler. Are you hearing from them? Are they saying, you know, I want to change the system? So if, you know, maybe that's information we need to try to gather. I'm hearing anecdotally that people are saying, yes, I'd like my hauler to do more recycling. I think Mr. Milne emailed me something today where his hauler, you know, had sent them something saying, you know, get in on the, or I guess they were just soliciting you.
They were soliciting me. I use the transfer station.
Yeah, excuse me. And you know, there was a $42 you know, a month fee, and they'd provide recycling bins, and so you know, I'm not totally clear on what the competitive market out there, you know, is how they're responding to their constituency, because they, you know, will, if the public wants more recycling, they're going to try to provide it. There may be a cost, but they're going to be out there doing that. So, you know, we've been talking with, as CMAS is also synonymous with Covanta. So Covanta has been coming down and trying to talk to us, and they've been talking to Yarmouth. We're the bulk of their municipal solid waste. They're not sure. It'll be interesting to see what Patty gets, but they haven't been real interested in bundling with the other 13 towns that haven't cut deals, or 12 towns that haven't cut deals yet. So we've been trying to actually play a bit of a regional role of saying, if you give us a certain rate, we'd like to see the other towns have that. We don't want to, you know, if we can help regionally to keep costs down for everybody, we're trying to play a little bit of that role. So you're looking for data. I don't know how we get that. I'd be interested to know if you hear individually from constituents about that private sector service and what they're looking for.
Town Councilor Jan Barton spoke up about what the council's mission at this time actually is.
I just wanted to say that what we need to decide as Barnstable Town Council is our transfer station that we are partially responsible for maintaining and keeping going, is what we, as an enterprise fund, we make the policy decisions. That's what's on the table here, and whether or not we do pay as you throw, whether or not we keep it the same, we have to think about what the tipping fee is going to be. And that's kind of what we should be discussing right now. I should think all the other global situations, I mean, it's also private sector, it's supply and demand, and if people want to advocate for things and so the businesses change, that's another discussion, I think. But I think tonight, what the town manager just kind of indicated was that we need to be providing some kind of direction policy-wise as to what we might be looking for to keep this viable and cost-effective going forward.
Council will gather for a vote in regular session. Of course, on the table, potential changes to the transfer station include a curbside pickup program, pay-as-you-throw, etc. The day of the vote yet to be determined. We, of course, will keep you posted. In the meantime, councilors agree that more data is necessary, and a survey created by the Renewable Energy Commission is supported. It'll likely be issued to Barnstable residents in the near future. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.